What's up, everyone? Thralls of Metal here. I am Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And today we are bringing you another album review. This time the artist is Havok and the album is...
V, or 5, because it is their 5th album. This came out also on the 1st of May on Century Media Records. This band is from Denver, Colorado, though if you listen to them, you swear to God they were from the Bay Area, because it is pretty fucking close to that. Straight up Bay Area thrash. This is their 2nd album on Century Media. They used to be on Candlelight a long time ago, and they seem to be on the verge of becoming a much more known band here lately. And this album definitely thrust them forward just a little bit more. The opener, Post-Truth Era, definitely gives you a good sense of what they're about. It's very Bay Area thrash, fast, somewhat technical. I had to say the intro right away.
It sounded like an evil accordion march.
It sounded like Blackened. I mean, honestly, it has that same slow fade in from Blackened, and the Metallica comparisons are definitely on this.
They're there.
Even the next track.
Good Metallica.
Oh, good Metallica. Yeah, we're talking about good Metallica. Yeah, the next track, Fair Campaign, has like almost a Kill 'Em All kind of feel. A very punky sort of gallop. And Ritual of the Mind actually kind of fades in on a nice kind of open chug, which is very similar to Eye of the Beholder. So, already, they definitely kind of play close to their influences. There's definitely lots of Slayerish moments, especially in Phantom Force, which is a destructive barn burn that just makes you want to whoop the shit out of the person next to you. Don't worry, Joe, we're not listening to it now. But what these guys do is a really cool balance between modern thrash, 80s thrash, and 90s thrash. And there's definitely those separate sounds, like the 80s stuff being stuff like Fear Campaign, or the fun little gallop you hear on Cosmetic Surgery. And then slightly more technical, more aggressive thrash on a song like Panpsychism, which I thought was one of the best songs on here in terms of how it was constructed. It was a little bit more technical, and that one kind of showcased some interesting vocals, which the vocals are kind of all over the place. I was a little surprised on this album, because I've been listening to these guys for a number of years now.
I never listened to too much Havok before this, but this album has definitely made me a fan of them. I did appreciate the fact that there is, from a songwriting standpoint, there is a lot of era differences. You can tell when they're going for a certain era of thrash, but they do it all really, really well. It's all very well produced. And the one thing that stood out to me about Havok that I really appreciate is the guitar work, of course. But what's cool to me about the guitar work is it wasn't just your standard basic kind of thrash type solos. These were thought out melodies, and definitely something that the guy took his time to compose, write, and execute really, really well. So it added a little bit of a higher class to me, and as far as the instrumentation went.
Musical prowess.
Yeah, it added to the musical prowess, which just made everything else to me sound better. You know, that prowess on top of those riffs with that sound, it all worked for me. And like I said, being someone who's not terribly familiar with Havok, this definitely made me want to go and listen to all the previous stuff and kind of keep an eye on them and see what else they release in the future. Absolutely.
Now, there's some slight nods to early death metal, too, on here. Interface with the Infinite, the opening part sounds like a sped-up version of the title track off of Spiritual Healing by Death, which it has that cool tapping bridge, but there are some moments that are a little bit heavier, like just maybe a little bit outside of thrash, maybe just, you know, kind of touching on death metal. And I really like the songwriting in here. It's very dynamic. And what is really cool about this album is they really try to craft different songs.
Yes.
Like, none of these songs really sound like repeats or repeats of an idea on the album.
They gel together well, but
they really do.
Yeah, it's not like they're repeating the same 3 or 4 kind of ideas over 10 songs. And honestly, what was it, for 11 tracks it was like 40 some minutes, so I mean there wasn't really much filler. It was all pretty much killer from start to finish. There was a couple times where the album lulled a little bit, and by lulled I mean just kind of slowed down as far as the pace went, but for the most part this thing was pretty right on with the tunes and just go.
I liked how the pace was varied from song to song. Like, they generally didn't put like a barn burner after a barn burner or anything like that, or a song that was a little bit slower after one like that. There was the weird interlude, Dob Sog, Tsog.
Sounds like an Indian dish that I would order.
Or one of Cthulhu's children. I don't know. It's just kind of there. Like, it's this weird little kind of ambient kind of guitar bit with like an off-time rhythm. And it comes right before Phantom Force, which is one of the most aggressive songs in the entire album. And it just doesn't really kind of segue into it, and it also doesn't kind of complement the song that came before it much. It's just kind of there. But outside of that, this really runs the gamut of a whole bunch of really cool thrashy styles. One of my favorite tracks that I thought was kind of a departure from their overall sound was Merchants of Death, which has almost like sort of a punk-like feel. It's very crossover,
yes,
like a little bits of DRI and suicidal tendencies. But the contrast to the very last track, Don't Do It, which I think is an incredible song, very well written. I just like the fact that they went from something that was kind of goofy and fun to something that was very serious, very dark in terms of the theme. It's about suicide, and really just comes across like as though, you know, they can actually tackle different subjects and such. It's a very heady thrash, and I really, really like that. The clean vocals are really interesting on here, and they kind of caught me off guard.
Definitely caught me off guard as well.
Because, I mean, honestly, I've been listening to these guys for a number of years, and clean vocals isn't something they really experiment with that much. And the cleans are interesting. Like, you can definitely hear in certain songs where he's trying to sound a bit like Dave Mustaine, that sneer. We all love that.
Hello, me. Meet the real me.
But when the cleans come in, and they're teased in panpsychism, where you hear some clean vocals come in a little bit behind the harsher vocals, there's an entire clean vocal section on Don't Do It, which are harmonized, and I'm not sure if it's just the vocals doubled from the frontman or they actually have someone else singing there, but it's odd. It kind of sounds like Dave Mustaine harmonizing with Jerry Cantrell, which isn't necessarily a pairing I would think of vocally, but it probably would work. Overall, I think this is a solid album. Once again, these guys pretty much knocked it out of the park. I love their last one. I thought it was, again, very thought-provoking. Showed off a lot more creative song structure, and I think this band is continuing to grow. So overall, I'm going to give this 4 stars. I think this is another thrashy fucking banger, and so far this seems to be kind of a banner year for thrash so far in terms of releases with like Warbringer and Testament. It's another killer release. I strongly recommend checking out this band. Check out any of their albums. They're incredible. But yeah, definitely check this one out. This is quite something else.
With not knowing what I was getting into when I listened to it, I had zero expectations, and it ended up, for me, I'll give it a 4 out of 5 as well. The thrash was really well done. I liked the nods to old Metallica, to old Megadeth, to old Death, stuff like that. I thought it was done pretty well and very cleverly, and I also appreciated the prowess and musicianship in which they executed the music as well. So everything was great across the board, so I got to give it a 4 out of 5.
So, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do shit like this all the time. And by the time this goes up, it'll be this gentleman's birthday.
Oh my God, it gives me a migraine headache.
So kindly wish him a happy birthday in the comments.
I'm old.
Yeah, no, shut up. You're done. Yeah, I'm older. You're done talking. Take her easy, guys.
Peace.